welcome everybody to the second episode of Netflix Critics. Today, we are going to be reviewing Thinner.
Stephen King's Thinner.
That's right.
Netflix Critics.
The synopsis, finally figured out the word for it.
Ooh, nice.
I know, it's a fancy word. For Thinner is when an obese attorney accidentally runs over a gypsy woman.
Oh, that's painful.
You know it's going to be a good movie when it starts out like that. You just know it. The victim's father puts a curse on him that causes him to drop 40 pounds a week. So the first thing we're going to talk about is plot.
The plot was good.
It was. It was very good.
You understood it clearly. You knew where he was coming from, why he was pissed off. But at the same time, it felt like there were some parts missing.
Definitely.
Maybe it's because it's a Stephen King adaptation from a book.
Which you have to process first when you go into this movie. This is definitely a Stephen King movie. It's weird, strange. There are some things where you're like, why did he put that in there? And I haven't technically read the book, so the book might be worse.
Either have I.
So we don't know. We're going to go to acting now. Since there wasn't really anybody big in it, except the guy from Criminal Minds, but I can't think of his name right now. I think it's
Joe Mantegna.
He was really good.
Oh,
oh my gosh.
He was a mafia boss.
He was a mafia boss and played it very well.
He plays it like a boss.
He does. There's a scene in it where he's taking out one of the gypsies because he hires the mafia boss to take out the gypsies because the gypsy put a curse on him. His curse, like you said, is to lose weight continually.
Erase.
Which, if I could do that with anybody, that would be awesome. There's a scene where he's taking down the girl, and he literally puts like acid in her face, but guess what? It's not really acid.
It's just sodium.
That's it.
Sodium and water, I think he said?
It scared me a little bit. I literally thought there was going to be acid on her face. But that scene was really good. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
I mean, he played the mafia boss to a T.
Favorite character.
He was cruel, but he was nice to his friends.
Right. Robert John Burke.
He's a good actor too.
Right.
But at the same time, his character changed so fast.
It did.
He was jolly at one part, and then he was optimistic, and then he started losing weight. Suddenly he's Batman.
Very much.
I mean, there were parts where he was just like, yeah, you eat that pie and you like that pie.
Basically, by the end, he turned into a psychopath.
Yeah. That was the end of the movie. He was just like, revenge against everybody who was wronged me. Spoiler. When he kills his wife at the end, he doesn't regret it.
The problem with that is that the reason why he's pissed off at his wife is because she's supposedly cheating on him. There's no proof that he ever did it. He doesn't even try to find out if she did.
He's angry. When she dies, her face is like rotted, her eyes are dried up, and he's looking at her, just staring at her face, and then he just makes out with her dead corpse.
He gets close to her. And says something to her, and I look at John and I go, he's not going to kiss her, is he? He's not going to kiss her.
And he does, and me and Corey are both sitting here like, no! And the only other part that compares to that part in disgustingness was the part with the pie. The gypsy man makes the pie, and it drinks the main character's blood. And the pie's like,
It's the only way to reverse the curse, is to make the pie drink their own blood and then feed it to somebody else. It was pretty messed up.
It was messed up.
The makeup, let's put it this way. It was obvious he had a fat suit on.
Well,
obvious.
Yeah.
Like, the makeup for his face and everything was, like...
The face you couldn't tell, but when they took off his shirt, you can see how, like, plastic and shiny it looked.
And there's a part in the shower where he's showering and he's just doing this. There's this. That's all he was washing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how you shower. Finally, we're going to go over what would we improve for this movie.
For the time period.
Right.
You obviously cannot CG stuff back then.
I think the ending was kind of bad. That's my only problem.
Yeah.
The ending was abrupt. It just stopped. Because I was sitting there like, oh, I'm sure we got like another 10 minutes or so. It just stops, and I'm like, okay.
He invites the doctor into his house. He said he mutters something about killing everybody, puts a big grin on his face, shuts the door, and that's the end.
And that's the end.
And the only thing that I've seen recently that compares is The Grey, where it just leaves the ending
for your imagination,
interpretation.
Now, my problem with those kind of endings, I think they work on some movies. If it's like a psychological thriller, which this is not, that'd make more sense. Because it'd make your mind think what's going to happen. This was not that kind of movie. It's a horror movie. Like, horror movies give you a point, say what happened, people die. The end.
I think the ending, maybe all Stephen King movies sound like that.
Yeah. The point of this whole movie is never trust a gypsy. That's pretty... that is what I got out of
it. Don't run over a gypsy's wife.
Right.
And then try to get away with it.
They'll come after you.
The scene where they're in court,
right?
They need to have the gypsy in the scene.
Agreed.
I mean, how does the gypsy know who was in on it?
Right. My only opinion is that she could hear and read minds, and that's how she knew.
That's something that you're supposed to know from that. She's looking in the window, and there's two guys sitting there, so she knows.
Right, so she came up to the solution that they're perverts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They're going to pay me a very small amount of money to lift up my skirt.
Right. So, there you go, Josh. So we're going to get to the rating now before it gets raunchy style on this videos.
Which also this movie has a lot of.
There is a lot of raunchiness.
Do not let your kids watch this movie.
Yeah, don't. It's not a kid's movie
it's
at all.
It's ours, so.
I'm going to give... okay, I'll give it like a 3.5 Wendy's.
I'm going to give him 4.
Okay.
4 Wendy's out of 5.
There you go.
And I'm only giving him not 5 out of 5 because of the ending.
So that sums up The Thinner. I hope you guys...
Stephen King's The Thinner.
Stephen King's The Thinner. It's not even The Thinner, it's just Thinner. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we shall see you next Friday.